like to remind everyone that due to unforeseen illness, planned vacation, we will need to meet tomorrow, July 26th at 4:15, and Wednesday, July 27th, 4:15 in the council chambers to do reading of the ordinances that need to be passed by the end of July. After that, after Wednesday, we'll be on recess until September 12th. But we will be available for any meetings that are necessary. So with that, we'll go right into some ordinances. Tom, I have one on here about your about the vacant properties. Tom sent an email. Do you want to explain that?
Well, as I was looking through the exemptions on that, the buildings for sale, if it's through a licensed dealer, they have a 12-month exemption on registering the building. But then at the end there, where it says a property for sale by owner can be exempt if sufficient evidence is provided to the city that the property is for sale, and that the owner is actively attempting to sell the property. There's actually no way that I know of that the city can verify that that's actually the case, that somebody can just throw a for sale sign in the window and say, I'm exempt forever. So my suggestion would be to include a property for sale by owner in the 12 months. So if they do try to sell their building by themselves, they can have a 12-month exemption, same as the other. That way it's consistent all the way across.
Jeff, it's your department.
You know, I think it makes sense. Some people may want to sell on their own and save that fee that they would have to pay to a real estate agent. So I don't think it's any issue to change that at all. You know, it's hard to even document 12 months. You know, when did that come out? So, you know, it's going to be a struggle to do it either way. But I would think it would be better to have it all one way than have two separate ways. So I would agree with Tom and change.
I'm sorry, you're talking about if it's only for sale by the owner, then they only get to 12 months, but if they have it listed with an agent, they get.
It's both, they're both 12-month exemptions.
Right now, listed by an agent, it says it defines 12 months, but listed by the owner, it does not define that.
Really, I don't care if we do away with that entire exemption. It's still a vacant building.
Yeah.
But
It's consistent. So that'll need added.
yeah, we've had the first reading. What do we do? Just in a second as amended, or I'll have to have that rewritten, I guess.
Can orally. Guess I would suggest you table it and let's deal with it in September.
Okay.
Unless you want to orally amend it tonight, then you can get it exactly.
Well, let's just table it and have it done right. And
Yeah, until September 12th. Sure, September 12th. Okay. We have two additions to the agenda, 3422, in order to amend the City of Coshocton Codified Ordinance 1333. Jeff, that's what you sent out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, can you explain that to everybody, in case they didn't get a chance to read their emails?
Right now, we've went to 7 days, and that is posted. At the end of that ordinance, it states that we are going to send out an invoice to the property owners. We don't invoice property owners. all we do is, I send a letter to Bob Beaumont of properties that we have mowed, the dates they were mowed, and how many hours we have, and what the total cost is, the administrative fees. And then he certifies that to the county auditor for that to be put on the tax. I don't think we want to get into hiring somebody to get building work to try to invoice these people, because then you're gonna have more of a delay. You know, it's always been this way. We've always just sent it to the property.
Okay, I read your response to that whenever we were asking. I can't quite remember, but the owner knows.
Well, I put a posting on the door.
Okay,
And that posting has a copy of the city ordinance. It has a copy of how many days they have, the date that I put the notice on the door, and the date that they have, the final date to abate it.
okay,
And underneath that, it has also what it's gonna cost if we mow it, and a notice that it will be going on their property taxes.
okay.
So, you know, I guess my thinking, I don't know if the owner knows or not. I mean, you know, they're vacant houses, but, and some of them are houses that a renter is in. But my way of thinking, you know, if I'm a property owner in Coshocton and I'm responsible, I'll be driving by my property and taking a look and making sure that things are the way it should be, because it's my money that I've got invested there.
Right,
If they don't take the time to do that and don't find it, shame on them. It's my, you know, that's my fault.
yeah, I understand. I just don't want a situation where we have somebody coming in saying that, you know, they didn't know when they're supposed to be in court or anything.
Well, if they have to go to court, every time I post one of those, I do a sheriff's report on it. That's what you hear every morning on the sheriff's report. So that is done. Then when it goes to county auditor, they will get that on their next tax bill. If I cite somebody into court, then, and I don't do that unless we have multiple times we've had to go mow it. I only issue that notice one time, but if we have to mow it more than once, twice, Bob and I talk, and if it's somebody that's habitual, we will file the charges. Then the charges will go to that landlord and say, you know, here's your charges, you've got to be in court until he's served. And, you know, and at that point in time, if he wants to call Bob and talk to Bob and try to rectify things, he can do that, but it's already going to be on the property tax. The only thing he would be stopping would be the charges.
Right. Anybody have any questions? Michelle? Mike, you good? All right, then ordinance 3622, and ordinance, this is an addition also authorizing payment necessary for the city of Coshocton to purchase property at 636 Poplar Street. That's your property, right?
It is.
That-
That wasn't on the original plan, but that's one more house across the street that Marvin owns. And if you've been down there, it's in worse shape than what the one that we just bought. That will give us 100% access to the garage that we just bought. It's right across the street. That'll allow us to pull our trailer into that lot and back it straight into that garage. As of now, the way it sits, there'll probably only be a couple people that can pull all back and into that garage with our 30-foot hazmat trailer up to a truck. But Marvin offered us that property, and just one time I don't want to turn it down for that price.
Provided everything goes as planned by Wednesday, then that should be good, right, Sherry?
Yeah.
Provided nothing comes up.
There's storage buildings on the back of it that we're gonna give, talked to Bob about it several times. We're gonna give Marvin, he wants to keep those. I'm okay with it. We're gonna give him an easement. And actually is a natural buffer between the alley and that property, so it'll keep people from driving through anyway.
Okay,
And they're not in bad shape. They're still in good shape.
good. Let's see. Yep. And ordinance 3722 is also an addition. Sherry sent that out, right? Is that for yours? 37,
I can't remember the numbers. I
Yeah.
just have to-
pretty sure.
Is
I
that-
think it's just so that bills can be paid.
Oh, that's for the new fund. That's to establish
Oh,
the
yeah, the new
new
fund, opioid fund.
105 opioid
Yeah.
fund. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
can get that receipt in.
Yeah. Mark, I was talking to Sherry and thinking back when we did that and we talked, weren't we talking about donating that to the,
Yeah, the CBHC is somewhere who, I mean,
The Sheriff's
it's
Department?
it's $1,500 a year. So
Right.
I mean, wherever it can go, we'll receive it in and then send it somewhere. I don't
Okay.
know who
I know
would
we talked
say,
about some different options.
yeah, if it can go to the sheriff's office, fine. If it can go to CBHC, it's $1,500. So
Right.
it's not, I mean, it's, I think we had to have a special meeting actually last fall.
Last August, I
Yeah,
think.
to
It was last
accept it,
August.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it was like, yeah, I
Right.
mean, it's 35 grand, but
Right.
over, Eight.
27,000.
it's 18 years or something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's really,
1,500 times.
right, yeah, so
18,
it's
27,000.
wherever we can, I mean.
I know
who-
CBHC, they have a new like flight school that they're using for kids
Right,
whose
and
parents
it's probably.
who've been
eligible
affected
for that,
by
Yeah, so
opioids. So
Drugs.
whatever,
Yeah.
whatever anyone wants to do like that, I mean,
Yeah.
that would be a good option, whatever option we
Right.
have is this.
So Sherry, when, if it's not, if we do different organizations, will we have to have a different appropriations for each one, or we can just?
No, I think we'll just have one line item for appropriation.
So if we decide wherever it
We could
goes,
do something different every year, yeah, we could do something,
Okay.
whatever, yeah.
okay,
And I don't believe I put the appropriation on there for this time because we can do that after you guys get back.
okay,
This is just to establish the fund because the
Yeah.
money came into the bank, so I have to receipt it. And I, just not to have to try to rush this through, I did check, I consulted with the state auditors, if we don't get this fund established before the end of the month, can I put it in another fund? And then that would technically be a transfer and you just don't transfer, so sorry, you have to pass that tonight or this before month end.
I don't know what the
This
big deal
week
is.
sometime.
I know.
Yeah, so. 35 is on there too. Oh, yeah, 3522, that's the appropriations. That's for the water. That's going to be on there. Of course, they'll all take their course and then by Thursday, they'll all be done. Or Wednesday, they'll all be done. Any other ordinances that are coming up that we need to discuss?
I will have an ordinance for hopefully health department consolidation. That will be on September 12th meeting. So. And I'll forward you guys, if anyone wants that agreement, I'll forward that agreement to you so you can look at it.
Anything else? Okay. Mayor, yeah, that one we passed. Yeah. Mayor, I know you're going to do both reports tonight, so. And if you don't,
It'll be the grilling of just the mayor.
yeah, if,
Jeff can back me up.
Okay. But if you don't mind, I mean, if, once you go over everything, like during the council meeting, there's no sense in repeating yourself.
No,
again.
I'm good,
So you go with that.
but I like to repeat myself, Tom.
Well,
People are paying for this show,
Yeah,
Tom.
I know it. I know,
No, I'm fine.
Okay. I know.
Because you really can't vote on anything in the meeting, right? So,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we can
You're
all
up.
sing Kumbaya or something.
yep.
I'm up. So like I said, health department agreement, it has passed the county health board. It has to go before the city health board, which is the 15th of August. Then it will come to you September 12th. Then it will go to the district advisory council, which we'll have to call a special meeting. I hope to have everything passed and voted on by October 1st, so we can start the transition.
Can I ask a question? And I think you explained this before, so you're gonna repeat yourself.
Okay,
What's
you
our,
said I couldn't.
and they're out there.
Oh,
Okay. What advantages are we gaining, is the city gaining from this?
Financially would probably be the biggest, and it's going to be right around $200,000 a year, which will help our general fund. And eventually, the goal between the Coshocton Health District is what it'll be called. Eventually, we look for funding from a levy. So at some point, we're kind of weaning the city within 6 to 10 years, hopefully, if voters support it, would be completely out of funding the health department. And it will be a combined one-stop shop. So it's not, hey, I called the county, oh, you live in a city, you have to call the city. So really ease of use. One place to call. Another great thing about it is the county right now is redoing the Hopewell Industries building down here with a morgue and the health. So we would be combining at a time where everyone's going in a new building. So that would be beneficial for the transition. You know, overall, it's ease of use. It's one department, and it's less funding for us because, you know, our number one cost are salaries. So salaries aren't going down, salaries are going up. So that the funding that is coming from the general fund to fund that it's every year, it's more and more and more. So revenues, health is not a big, huge moneymaker. It's about 100,000 a year in revenues for food licensures, and it really just not anything that we're making money that we can't get rid of, that we're gonna lose. We're not gonna lose, we're actually going to gain. So it's something that's been talked about. You know, it was let's hire facilitators and consultants, and actually me and Dr. Poland from the County Health Board really worked hand in hand. Don Wells, which is also on the County Health Board, kind of had a hand in it. There was no, you know, it's just back and forth. Hey, you want this? Well, we don't agree to this. And we went back and forth probably 3 to 4 times, and here we are. And he said it was a pleasure to work with me, and I told him not to let anyone know that.
Shocker.
Yeah, yeah. It's
So,
a shock.
okay,
But I mean, overall money, you know, I mean, it comes down to money, and I think it's duplication of services, you know, and I think it'll be great for the county as a whole.
so they'll have enough staff members to cover the county.
Yes, yes, and they'll pick up 2 or 3 of our people. It's in the contract that that's the first people interviewed and hire out. So hopefully everyone pretty much makes that transition over.
Sorry to interrupt. Anybody else have anything?
How many's on the city staff now? I mean.
4, a sanitarian, a commissioner, a nurse, and a registration person, admin, basically. So 4 right now.
And they're only gonna take 2 to 3.
Yes, yes. And that was kind of part of the agreement, is the give and take of here's, and you can read it in the agreement how it's spelled out. I forward every council member information about MuniReg. It has really what's going on with MuniReg, what they need to collect. I talked to Tom today and said, you can't squeeze the blood out of a turnip. So I think a lot of times they could probably put more pressure on people. A lot of times it's chasing property owners or who even owns the property. So a lot of times it's
Some of those
in
are in
mortgage,
California, Florida.
mortgage limbo or LLCs or partnerships. I mean, sometimes it's the people who abuse the system really know how to abuse the system. So a lot of times it's who even owns the house, who's in charge of it. So, or the building.
Mark, we received a check for $300 today.
So there, it's heating
And I think
up.
it was for one, if I read it correctly, I think it was for one property. If I followed their. sheet
It's
correctly.
so the
9th Street.
they should actually send the check to MuniReg and then MuniReg, but if they
The check
send
was
it
from
here.
Unireg.
Oh, it was from you. Okay, so it was whatever house. The check goes to MuniReg, and then I negotiated, we get 75%, they get 25% of whatever fees are collected.
When I look at what you send, it's only residential. There's no commercial buildings
I think there was some downtown
there- I think
plaza,
there's-
there was
And
some,
one of those, I think one of those attachments, Tom, is,
there was
Maybe I
some,
just missed it.
I believe.
Yeah, it's like 5 attachments.
Yeah.
I think it's both they're doing both commercial and residential. Yeah.
It's the 1,200 block of.
I don't think we've had any commercials that registered though.
Yeah,
Right.
it doesn't show any commercial.
There's been several residential. We got several residential in checks came directly to here and bypassed Moody Ray. So we have got.
Are you saying there's none on the
So
list,
far, I think.
on this list?
I don't
There was
see any
some-
commercial
Okay.
properties on here.
The problem with commercial properties, the way that ordinance is written, if one portion of a building is occupied, the whole
Right.
building is considered occupied.
Right.
So right now, you only have one building on Main Street that's unoccupied. That's the problem. Unless you look at,
The building right next to Sorrells.
that one, when I contact that guy, he is, has people in and out of there, he's using that for warehousing. So, how do I bump that? How do I say that doesn't count? It doesn't say you have to be in the building X amount of days a year. It just says it has to be occupied. So he says I'm using it for warehousing, which is what he told me. I would go.
We have the fire department check for the proper,
Fire department should be going in doing their inspections, they have the right to, yes.
because
To
in
make
warehousing, you have to have fire.
Depending on how much floor space there is and what he's housing, and that's totally dependent on square footage and what he's storing.
I'll make notes of this too. We talked about the people's building today and starting a paper trail on that, because I've had a conversation and Brett's had a conversation with that property owner, and we have gotten nowhere just after conversation.
It's hard to believe.
So that fire suppression system still down, so Brett and I actually talked about that letter today, going out to start the paper trail on that. So the conversations on that building's not getting it done. I will make a note of, I'll put the old poles, that's what it is, in the old poles, IGA.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Check on it.
Thank you.
OWDA hearing is this week about the restructuring of the loan and putting interest towards a principal of $2 million. So hopefully it's probably going to be the beginning of next week when we hear something on that. So I'm hoping that goes well. It's looking positive, so we can just hope and pray. Paving, first week of September, I'm going to say. It depends on weather. It depends on where the paving contractor's at. It could be a week sooner. It could be a week later. So I don't know, did Mac send you guys paving list where it's
Not
gonna
yet.
pave? So
Not yet.
I will, I know I was out on Ferry Falls today and I was excited to just think that that's going to be paved. Like, I know a lot of people are, yeah, it's like, and then people are gonna go too fast. So we have one opportunity that leads to the next opportunity. Met with American Bloom Advisors this morning downtown, and they will be here today and tomorrow. They've been here before, so it's great meeting them, and they seem pretty excited. And I told them we wanted top prize, top place in every category, and they seem to agree with me. So hopefully they take my advice. Alley paving, I started the journey of identifying alleys, and I'm probably about 75% done. One-way sign is arriving today. So for Acorn Lane, so it should be up at some point. I have been debating whether to make Locust and Third a four-way stop. Right there be Park National.
It's really hard to see.
Yeah,
It's
you can't,
so,
well,
like,
instead of
spaced
trying to
out.
fix the parking, we could put a stop sign in the middle, like four-way stop in the middle since the road's wide. And then if that helps, maybe even go down to Sycamore, like to that intersection, because I've had people reach out. Hey, we need that. I know I've been through there. If I go to get a strawberry frosty, you know, I don't want to get T-boned.
Mhm.
The strawberry frosty is already not good for me, and if I get T-boned, it's even worse for me. So
They do go fast.
it would just be easier to get, you know, it'd be easier to see. So that's something that I've been working on. Just want to say I attended Coshocton Motor and Music Festival this weekend, and Mickey from Twisted Image and Fair Board, Tom Rohr, Rick Williamson did a great job. Fire was there, EMS was there, Sheriff's Office was there. It was a great time, and I love that there are too many things to do in Coshocton. So I wanted to get to an ice cream social and never got there. So I'll be at one somewhere like before the end of summer. So that's not good for me either, but I enjoy seeing the people. So if anyone has any questions, there's a lot of things that are on the cusp that I could say, but I'm not gonna say. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. And they're all positive. So
When do you guys start striping crosswalks and stuff for school?
Last I knew, there was still a paint shortage. I know every crosswalk in town needs done, so I will look. We were actually talking to the paving contractors at the pre-con meeting and talking about White Woman Street and getting it striped and getting parking spots, and they're like, you might not. So hopefully we do, but it's something that we're supply chain issues like the rest of the world. So that's kind of what we're looking at. As soon as you find me white paint, that's when we're done. No, I would love to get that done. I mean, most definitely it needs done, but we just need to figure out how to get the paint to do it.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, what's going on Spitler Hill? All the digging and
They
stuff
are they're doing full depth. Our guys are doing full depth repairs in areas where they are the worst.
Yeah, I was up there the other day.
Really, the whole road is the worst.
Yeah.
Wasn't built right. So we're doing what we can to fix those spots and fix drainage, fix where the worst spots in that road, because if you just overlay asphalt,
Yeah,
the
it's just
trash
gonna
truck.
crumble again.
I would actually like to see a dumpster at the bottom of the hill so the trash trucks stay off the road, but if people don't want that, then there's nothing I can do. We'll fix the road until it deteriorates again, and I can tell people we don't have any money to fix it.
Right. Okay, what about Walnut and Fourth Street? What are we doing there with the church?
It's
That's getting old.
It's going,
Getting old.
Rusty actually probably knows
They're
more.
waiting on trusses to put the roof
Right.
back on, so they can open it to make it safe again. Their trusses have been ordered.
My thing is, I don't want to open it and close it.
Right.
They were willing to do that, but the
Right.
mayor and
I
I talked
just-
about the
it's
opening
just-
and closing, just leaving it.
You said the last time, Rusty, then you say that one storm that come through, do some stuff down.
Yeah, took out 2 peaks, and they've got the rest of them secured up the best they can for that situation, but we get another storm, there's no telling what they would do. They're, like everything else, got trusses ordered, just waiting on them.
Be patient,
All
Chad,
right.
be patient.
I'm down there a couple times a week, so if there's problems, send me an email and we'll try to, they opened it up Fourth and Walnut for your last concert, just so that people could get to the bank all day long.
Yeah, that would just be nice to have that on. Okay.
And they can't, I feel way, like, I know everyone wants it open, but
Mhm.
when you drive down there and if something were to happen,
Right, right.
like it'd be a bad day. So as bad as people think having to go to Maine or Chestnut to get across town or over to Mulberry, not being able to get anywhere is worse than
Right.
having that like
All right. Just
blocked.
wanted an update. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything for the mayor? / service director? Okay, Sherry.
I have a worksheet that I worked up for you guys to kind of go over some stuff here. Jackie and I have been working on some stuff together since after April. So I thought I'd go ahead and kind of recap and give you an idea of what we do. Does everybody have one for income tax? So I went back to 2017, so give you 5 full years of where we are standing with payroll withholdings, your business net profits, and individual tax returns. And you know, you get this monthly with her, and that the December one, it kind of gives you a year to date. But I thought it might be nice just to kind of get a look at it all on one sheet. So follow across 2017, or actual numbers. 2018, I gave you the percent of increase or decrease, and same with all the way out through 2021. And then at the very end, I went ahead and did as of June 30th, 2022, compared to June 30th of 2021. So you can see where we're standing with each one. Couple notes on the business net profits. I have a note that you follow down. There was, if you recall, with people, businesses opting into the Ohio Business Gateway and filing, there was a huge delay in receiving our money. There was also a delay, and we had a company in town that, if you recall, they paid the state I think it was 345,000, but then they also paid us. So they could, they initially paid us, but the state went back to them and said, no, you opted in with us for the 5 years, so you must pay us. So they had to wait for our refund, but until the state got that all worked out, they withheld our money, even on normal other people. So that's why you see such the big decrease there in 18 compared to 19. On your reports also, you'll see it says total income tax collected. That includes the JED. So I went ahead and subtracted out the JED so you can get an idea where our JED revenue is, how that's coming in, increasing or decreasing. So then your grand total for distribution after the JEDs, that's what we have then to work with. And keeping in mind with that, if you jump down to the bottom left-hand corner, that's where you have the income tax allocation for the ordinance. 18% goes to the street fund. We have the retirement fund, 1.5%. It's capped at $75,000 a year. The street debt, we cap it at $60,000 for those couple street debt payments. Capital improvement, 5%. And the remaining split you have there, the 0.5% is for the fire, the levy or income tax is on the ballot, the increase, and same with the safety and security. Also, I'm sure hopefully everybody knows, I want to give you a count of the income tax rebate with the Kraft Heinz agreement. That was for tax years 15 through 24, paid in 2016 to 25. Their wages at the time, we have a baseline of $18 million. So it's any wage over $18 million that comes in. So I have their tax year 2021, 14,771,000. They're rebated back to 0.75%. And as you know, 0.75% goes to Kraft and to Riverview School. So there's the dollar amounts that have been rebated as of tax year 2021, 1,168,908. So estimated by the end of that agreement, you're looking at $1,843,000. That is our money through that agreement that we agreed to rebate back. So, after that last payment is done in 2025, that's going to be $225,000 that the general fund doesn't have to pay out. But that's not until 2025. to let you know some of the avenues that that Jackie uses to locate taxpayers. The number one resource is our City of Coshocton water applications. And she said they also include a copy of the driver's license with those.
Well,
And-
Can I stop you there,
Uh-huh.
Sharon? We've just passed a city ordinance that says that the property owner, the bill goes in their name. So if you buy a house and you rent it out to 4 people in a house, how do we know that who you're renting to?
Let me
If
get with
the-
Jackie
if
on that.
the- If
And
the water
Dave,
bill
maybe can
goes
you
in the
guys-
owner's name,
I can answer, even that before, or after the ordinance, it would be the same, the property owner would do an application,
right?
which then we forward, as she said, a copy of it to the tax department. But when they move renters in and out, we forwarded no paperwork anywhere.
Right, so that was my question. So how do we know if I own a house and I'm paying the water bill, how do I know?
Right.
Or how do we know that those people who are renting from me are paying
Right.
income tax?
I own my house and I have 3 other taxpayers that live in my house. So just because I own my house and they notify the tax office, there's 3 other people that live in my house that, I mean,
Right,
I guess you know me, so you
Understand,
know
yeah.
who lives in my house, but
Understand.
I mean, like,
And I'll get
Just
with Jackie.
Joe,
I'll get
right.
with Jackie too,
Right.
since that has passed. You know,
I'd
this
like
was
to-
just our,
right.
yeah.
I'd like to see an amount of taxpayers, like just a total, everyone all in, like a number of like.
I think
whether it
last
be
year was roughly
filers,
$6,500.
Right, she sent me that.
but, or $6,500, 6,500 returns. So let me keep, and then
Go
I'll get back
go.
with that. Building permits, contractor registrations. She gets a report from the county on vendors, Mid-East Ohio permits, the Port Authority, Visitors Bureau, word of mouth, you know, from city council members or administration. And believe it or not, I have here a good old notebook in Jackie's car. And she physically will get out of her car, especially like roofers. She'll go up and like, hey, are you registered?
Mhm.
And, you know, she'll track people down. The Ohio Department of Taxation, she is able to obtain a file from them. But it does list everybody as 43812 zip code, which we all know does not encompass just the city limits. There's outside, because honestly, for the past 5 years, 6 years, with the county, Fred engineer, Fred Wachtel, sorry, yes, thank you. He has had an audit done, and the license bureau was automatically assigning anybody 43812 their $5 fees. They were assigning them to the city. And I mean, one year I got a stack like this, and it's not a city resident. So, you know, it was several thousands of dollars, and what they've done is they have just taken that off our next allocation that we would receive in motor vehicle tax. So this is kind of the same thing, you know, she would have to go through this individually. I can go into the detail about our software and so forth, but I think that would probably be pretty boring for you.
since you brought that up, is
Yeah.
our software up to date?
Mhm.
Like if somebody files a federal return or a state return,
That's where,
is there something that we get? That the
That's-
city gets that says, hey,
that's where I
Okay,
have
the
noted in
Andrews.
here, yeah. You can get it from the state, but their reports are 2 years in arrears. So she has requested, but they are. So, you know, your tax years are always in the arrears, plus they are 2 years in arrears. She will get in the fall of 2022, those who filed 2020 taxes with the state. Yeah.
and then she has to chase them down
Yeah.
if somebody didn't file.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then here and she said, when their delinquent filing notices are mailed, and she mails, they have quite a few a year. She said 9 out of 10 are individuals that had their tax withheld by an employer, and they just did not file their tax return. So we have their money. They just didn't file their return, thinking they don't have to. The late fee is $25 per month. And that's Ohio Revised Code with a maximum of $150 a year. And, you know, in the past, unless somebody is habitual and they know they're supposed to, you know, she might give them, you know, the first time, like, okay, we'll forgive you, waive the $25 fee. But the next year coming in, oh, I forgot, I didn't know I had to. Well, no, we had that discussion last year. She'll assess them the fee, but still the max for a year is $150. Non-residents that work in the city and have their tax withheld are not required to file a tax return. So, you know, if somebody works at Coshocton Regional Medical Hospital, they live, you know, in Fresno, they do not have to file a tax return. Dave K. Dry, he lives in West Lafayette, so he does not have to file a city tax return, but we have his money, so that's all that matters. City residents with income, W-2 income or $5,000 or less, that is withheld by their employer, they're not required to file a tax return. And she said we do have a large number of those. And then I just listed out some of the common non-taxable income interest. Oops, I got a spelling error there. Dividend income, Social Security, disability, retired people from your qualified pensions, state unemployment. We know our unemployment rate is high, workers' comp, life insurance, and you can find the whole list on the city's website under the income tax page. You know, we had a large employer that did courtesy withholdings that was out of the city limits. And well, I can say it was AK Steel at the time. But in 2016, when ORC, you know, the state changed the rules and that was all out of our hands. If somebody was 1 day late, it was 50% penalty on the tax that was due. So they stopped their courtesy withholding. Because if their tax withholding was $40,000 and they were 1 day late, they would get assessed a $20,000 fee. So they quit their courtesy withholding. But she has, you know, a good list of those people are really good that they know. And they're set up on, they come in and make quarterly estimated payments. Or she said there's some that just file their tax return and they know to save their money back and they, you know, they pay it. She said there's still several pending court cases. And one in particular, she said she actually checked on the other day. The charges were filed in March of 2020 and the person has never been served. So that's falling on the municipal court, if I understand her correctly, that,
Well, it really
or the
goes
sheriff's
down to
office.
Goes to the sheriff's
Sheriff's
department to be
office.
served, and quite frankly, those go to the bottom of the pile.
Yeah, but in her office, she has a stack like this that are ones that, you know, either have gone through the court, they've come in, there's 195 set up on payment plans, or there's one still sitting there waiting to be served.
And a lot of those people are no longer around.
Yeah, and you can't go back after 3 years and collect, isn't that's right, Bob? I think it's like
Statute of
you can,
limitation is 2 years
2 years,
for the crime. So after that, I can't prosecute people.
right?
Doesn't mean I still can't try to collect. That's the problem with the state being 2 years behind on their.
I know, I know.
Right, it doesn't help.
Yeah,
right.
she's expecting to receive that in the fall of this year. And like I said, it'll be for the tax year 2020. But you know, back up to the top, if you look at June to June, you know, overall, taking the JED out of it, we're overall up 3.84%. Including the JED, it's up 4.9% because, you know, we know the increased activity that has happened, you know, with the JED, with the new medical center and all the contractors being going on out there. But no, I will get with her on the.
Are there any systems like that, like computer programs that replace the good old notebook in the car, like to instantly say this person filed state or federal, or is the feds even on a 2-year delay? Like, is there any system that because I want to see.
I'm not sure if she has access. I don't think she has access to federal.
I'd like
think
to
it's just
see
the
the
state.
number of people, because when you look at the census from 2010 to 2020, we lost 15 people a year on the average. And I would like to see the actual number of taxpayers. We've been so flat for so long, and wage has not gone down or been flat, wages went up. So being a numbers guy, I like to look at numbers, and if I can compare tax filers, like every single one, whether they file, whether it's collected, look at the actual number versus a dollar, you can see pretty quick if we're collecting every dollar based on number of taxpayers. Because if you have the same amount of taxpayers and you're collecting the same amount of money, there's something wrong, because people's wage went up, and even minimum wage goes up based on the consumer price index. And if you took a rough 600 people at Kraft and they got a $4 an hour raise, that's about 96,000 just for one place.
And I
So,
think you'll see that kind of here without that number, but you'll see payroll withholdings in 21
Well,
compared
that's
to
the
20
thing.
is up
Right. And that's the thing
6.34%. So
too,
that
with
tells you
20,
right
right,
there,
and with 20,
the
the way it
wages,
was.
that's
you know,
what's,
Right,
20 to 21, it's up. And so far, June to June, it's up a little over 11.5%.
I just
So,
think we
but you're
need
not
a-
gonna
a system
capture,
where we can capture it. And
But
there are
not if
people I talk
I-
to that like have not filed, and I said, okay, I want to see if our
the
system
only ones I
works.
think, that you're gonna be hard put to capture and is, if somebody's working cash under the table,
No,
how
I
you
realize
gonna
that,
get
but
that?
I don't, when
But-
I asked for numbers last week for how many people filed, it was like it was complicated. We should know our numbers, and that's what I'd just like to see, going back to about
And that's where she gave you like
2015, right.
like 6,500
Right, and
returns.
yeah.
But if you
right,
think that we have, 11,000 residents
Right,
and, I've always heard, and I always thought, we have a huge older population
right, no, I just want to
that
see
are
the
not
number, right,
required,
yeah,
retired
yeah.
folks, you're,
I mean, it's to me,
I
it's
have one in
root,
my household, it's not
Right.
required.
right, to me,
to
it's
file tax
root
return.
cause of,
He's retired.
to me, it's root cause of, hey, this general fund, we need money, so why not attack the snake at the head and figure out where, that's what I'm saying. I can look at a number and tell you if things.
I think all you're asking,
I just
basically
want
all you're
a
asking
number.
is, let's see how many people.
I got the
actually-
dollar. Yeah, I
Right.
got the dollar. Let's see.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of
Understand.
tell if we're doing what we need to do by, if one year it's 6,500, the next year it's 6,200, the next year it's 6,700, you can tell there should be a trend. If your dollar amount's staying about the same, then your filers should be about the same. And you got to take population out of it, because there's no real ebbs and flows in the population to say we're losing this amount of population, that's why we got less money, or that's what, so that goes completely out of the equation. And you should just be able to look at the number of people filing, or the number of people filing, the number of people that the companies are paying for it. You should have one total number.
Well, and you have to remember
year.
too, that not everyone is required to file a tax return. So we're getting monies in, but you'll never have a tax return for those.
But you should have an amount, you should have an amount of people that.
Yeah, the
that
amounts
money's coming
included,
from.
that is included in these.
So you're telling me I will never have a number that tells me how many people pay taxes in our city?
Well, we can go through all the W-2s and, I could go through the W-2s and say, okay, we mentioned them, Kraft.
Right.
And I
I'm
can
just
see
saying.
who's,
So like.
we're getting their wages.
Right.
Who's a city resident, who's not, who's city, and like,
But we don't
okay, how
have that
many
on a
there, but-
spreadsheet, or it's just a piece, it's just the tax filing. Cause
yeah,
at
because you
some,
know how many W-2s they have in there. You
At some
can't, you
point-
can't have,
At some point, I
every-
would love for the community to be able to file their taxes online and like actually live in the 21st century.
So I think one of the issues that, and this is where I agree with you, is, like the multiple household, if you ask Jackie.
Right.
I mean, even when my kids were home, they had to file,
right,
so,
if they made over the,
yeah,
$5,000.
$5,000.
Go back to the water office, our process before the ordinance was changed and after is basically the same. The owner comes in, makes an application for service, we send that to Jackie. Then let's say he moves in, you as a tenant. All he does is sign a mailing authorization form to mail the bill to the tenant.
Right,
That information.
so maybe that's information then, once the tenant change, that you can still forward on.
So, but see, by the billing going to the property owner, we don't have that form anymore, but we never mailed it to Jackie before. All she got was the original application, which is the property owner. But the mailing authorization to the 19 tenants that got moved in and out of that house, those were never
Yeah.
forwarded to Jackie.
And then she did say that the tenants, is a hard thing to capture.
Yeah.
But
there's
I'll
no
get
good
with
way to
her.
capture.
And I can have Jackie, I mean,
Just
she's
send her
willing
door,
to.
send her door to door then.
Hey, I mean, she will get out. I mean, hey, but don't knock the notebook, because
No,
you see
I
people
know,
in there,
I
and it's
see
just
it.
a way
Yeah.
to,
No,
it's just a way to remember. It works. Dave has a little
so,
pocket, you make notes of,
I just,
you know,
we
who's,
have to
who you see in
verify.
town, and you have.
No matter
have
what we
working.
do, we have to verify. Cause I have talked to people who, hey, I've never lived in a city. I didn't even know I had to do that. Hey, I filed last year, but I didn't file this year.
But
so I'm gonna
that's
see if
where if
ever
they
send me
go and
anything.
they move into the city and they hook up for utilities,
But
we're
if-
notified
But
of
if they
them.
rent, if they
But
rent.
I mean, I
there's
get the
no-
rental,
yeah.
that's a different animal.
And
but
I
if it
don't
is
think it's
somebody
gonna be
new,
like trillions of dollars, but I think it's gonna be
You're-
like.
You're never gonna capture 100%.
No, and I
and that was
agree
just like
with that.
kept collecting our water bill.
Right,
It's
Talk
not
to-
gonna
yeah,
be.
you're always
And
gonna
our-
have that. yeah.
Talk to your,
No.
guys, in
Yeah.
your mayor's association and so forth, and, I mean,
What we
because
see
that's,
is more rental units and owner occupied, which I think makes your problem worse because, there's more people renting than there are own ownership.
There's, I think we're 60-40. I think we're 60%, 65% owner occupied.
I can
and
see that trend
35.
going the other way. Give it another decade, it'll be 50-50.
I'll get with Jackie tomorrow and see if she, and maybe she has an answer and we just,
If you're
Didn't-
looking for the number of how many people should be filing, could you start with the employers and ask how many employees are you collecting city taxes from?
well, we get their W-2s. So
Right.
that's, you could go through their W-2s and see who's the city. And I was actually gonna start to do that on one, just for an
But for you to
example, to
count all
say,
of those, that's a lot.
this
but
one,
to
this,
email-
this one has, 300 employers.
There is
Maybe half of
another
them.
tax collection. There is another option. It's called Regional Income Tax Authority. They now service 400 municipalities in the state of Ohio, and they don't use notebooks. They use computers, and they subpoena you when you don't pay your taxes.
All right,
And
we're
they
moving
collect
on.
taxes.
We're moving on.
It's a factual
Well,
statement. I'm not,
That's why I asked, I understand,
And
but
they come
that's why I
with, they
asked if
come at a
I,
great cost.
well,
They come at a
you
great
pay a
cost.
percentage
Hey.
of,
that's it,
They come at a great cost.
quit. I'm telling you, stop, because I'm not gonna have another episode,
I know,
Sherry.
No, I'm just
No,
joking with you.
no, but you had to get the last word out.
No, I'm just saying, they do come at a great cost.
Sherry, you also sent out an email about the permits. When we were talking about the building permits and things, how that is,
Yeah, I do have
think
one
what we
other
were, I think what we were talking about, council, and Bob was going to rewrite that, correct?
What are we talking about?
The building permits.
I remember it, right?
Yeah, her concern was, that's how she collects, the auditor's office collects money for the general fund. So,
Mayor's office.
Mayor's-
collects it,
yeah,
and then
mayor's
it comes
office
over to us.
collects.
Yeah,
yeah, so how much of that are we actually, with the building permits, with what we wanted to change? Do we actually know how much we're losing? Mark?
Yes, I don't have that
Okay,
information.
okay,
I do, Bob Beaumont figured it out. I have a
Okay.
sheet. I don't think it's anything that's like, whoa, but it is money.
right,
It is money.
yeah,
So, you know, and it is another way to to monitor what's going on. Like when we're talking about taxes, it's
Yeah.
another way to monitor what's, you know, who's doing what. Because the legitimate people are doing what they need to do, not only permitting, but also paying their taxes. So it's kind of it's a double-edged sword. I have the info and I will have him email it to you.
thank you.
So I think it's the last two, I think he did the last 2 years. And
Gotcha.
if you want more, I can do. I
That's
don't,
fine.
he
No.
did the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay,
And I can tell
but
you.
I know
it's
like
not
whenever
like
you
that.
guys a mayor's report, we get the building permits.
Yes,
A lot of that
we
is-
have, I
yeah.
mean, we have all that. It's not any like crazy amount of money, but it's still money. So
Any
that's,
questions about the changes I made to that ordinance?
No, I just, when we decided that, didn't we decide that, it was just like, that only if you're expanding the dimensions of your house and then so many square feet?
Yeah.
So
We raised the
what you guys
cost,
decided?
right? Didn't we
Yeah.
raise
Yeah,
the
you raised
cost
the
too?
cost.
To 15.
Yeah,
Okay,
instead of 5,000 was 15.
all right. And your email was more about the gaming, Sherry?
Yeah, I mean, just because Mark had, you threw about eliminating the gaming, because you said they're on that state level in this, but I
the
just want.
room license.
The room, it was like,
The
then they
room
would just
license.
pay.
The room
And
per
then they would pay per
machine.
machine, 300 per machine.
Per machine.
Right, no room license at all.
So the more machines, the more money.
Yes, and then no, I think our ordinance was 6 or over, 4 over. I don't, Bob, you know what the number. State law right now, if you're running a legitimate game room, you have 10. That's it. And you're going through the AG and you're paying money to the state. So that's why I kind of agree to not collect more money on that arcade room when you can just pay per machine and be done. And then it's fair for everyone. If you got 6 games, you pay $300 a machine. If you got 10 games, you pay $300 a machine.
Is that
With
that's
no
for a year,
license.
correct?
Yes. yes.
So when that's all classified under gaming permits, did that include then, because we just get our report from your office that just says gaming permit. So did that include a room plus the
Probably,
thing?
yeah, whatever.
So
yeah,
that I don't
whatever
have that
we
breakdown because it
gathered,
was
yeah.
just given to us all as gaming permit.
'Cause I know most of those,
I can
most
see,
of those clubs are trying to get their 10 machines, I think.
yes, yes. So I can have Bob break that down to see what, there's only a couple places that have 10
Right.
or I take that back, whatever the ordinance is now, I think it's 6. There were only a couple, 3 places that had 6 or more. So you want cost of revenue of building permits last couple years, and then you want revenue.
No, not the building permits. I'm okay with the building permit. I think I was thinking the gaming permits was one, right?
You want to break down the gaming permits.
Yeah. Are we, and you want
Split.
coming up, you want to come up with an ordinance for that?
All that we need to do, Bob, all we need to do is just amend that to,
You change the fee structure per machine and get rid of the ordinance.
yes, and get rid of the section of the room license, yeah.
And
Okay.
realistically, if places decide they want 10 machines, and they don't have to get the arcade license, you might actually bring in more money than what you're bringing in now.
Right.
Right,
Because now places are trying to keep under that 6, so they don't have to pay that.
so they
extra
don't
money.
have to pay
Right.
that extra money, right?
Gotcha. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I did have one other thing, if I may.
Okay.
For your meeting when you come back on September, keeping back with the ARPA from last time, I'll need, when I'm gonna reclassify, those salaries. out of the street salaries into the ARPA fund, same with the water. That will free up appropriations in that salary line item. Same way with water salaries. So each one, I will have a transfer. I will have you transfer $200,000 from street salaries we'll establish a new line, street capital improvement, alley/paving. And do the same thing with water to have them create a separate line just for their fire hydrants. So you'll be able to see, exactly how those monies were spent for that.
I thought I was gonna tell you now.
I know. Jeez. Guess we can't joke around. We love you.
No, you don't.
No, I don't.
I know you don't. Dave?
Not today.
Y'all have my monthly report there. Any questions, first of all?
Our increase is, there's an increase in overdue monies. Just a slide, I mean, it's not,
I'm just thinking, people going on vacation, no offense, not paying their water bills. I don't have any other explanation. We are working, diligently trying to make sure we get everybody shut off. We've changed our process a little bit, try to keep after that. That is a focus for us.
yeah, because I did see
Hey,
there was an
what-
increase in overdues and then there was an increase in the shut off notices too, so.
And if you go on vacation, I want to remind the residents, you can pay your bill online from anywhere in the world.
Right.
Not
Yeah,
that
so,
I have
the shut off notices went up there. We're trying to attack overdues. We started with, like on the finals, like with landlords that had overdue accounts that we sent a fair number of letters out tracking those. Overall had some responses and some of them, was negotiated after what they pay, what we settle for and stuff like that. But we're trying to attack those because as you talk about marriage number, if you look at that number that somebody has an outstanding account, that's probably 20% of our population. From the water side, there's an outstanding account now. 300 of those are final accounts for people. A lot of finals are up because a lot of real estate's moving. So we're trying to track those, keep those, but we are focusing that. A couple of minor subtle changes that we've made just on our mailing. We found out, and look at your water bill and it said, service return requested. That means the bills doesn't get forwarded. So we talked to the post office, said, well, you're paying first class. You can ignore that. Now the bills will get forwarded to the people if they move and leave a forwarding address. Little things like that to help a little bit. It's not a lot of money, but we used to send out, bills would be due on the 5th. So on the 6th, we'd send out a late notice, probably $1,200 a month. And that was our number one complaint. People said, well, I paid that bill. Why did you get this late notice? So we just stopped sending them. So that's, $600 a month in postage we're not paying. They still get their regular bills. And we don't get any calls or complaints about it. Nobody's called about not getting one. So we're trying to get nickels and dimes here to address these issues.
What do you think will make them pay, Dave?
Pardon?
What do you think will make them pay?
Shut them off.
Right.
Well, when you get these new meters, that takes them.
Well, that'll help. And with the landlords, they still think we should manage their accounts with their tenants. And we're saying, no, that's your bill, you pay it.
Right.
And overall, that's went pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Most of them accept it because our largest landlord organization already do that. They have a bill sent to them. So
Where are we on the water meters?
I'm in the process of trying to finalize my submittal OWA to get the funding to pay for those. Working conversations almost daily with the supplier on getting meters. They're saying probably after 1st September, they can start shipping a couple hundred meters a month. We probably have 400 meters on back order that they promised that we should have sometime in August. So that we can keep changing out, while we're waiting on these other ones. Now, you saw a note in there, July, unfortunately, the supply chain, we got 9. Now, I think we did 11 Friday because we had meters. So we're changing our strategy a little bit. We have some larger meters. So we're putting anything we've got in our inventory, we're trying to get installed.
Same with fire hydrants?
Yeah, we got 6 in June. We probably have, we'll get 7 to 10 here in July.
Good.
So making progress.
Anybody else have any questions for Dave? Have we started collecting the money, Sherry, on the ordinance where we increased? Did that start in July?
Yeah, that was started with the bill we sent out on July due July 5th. So we saw part of that in this number here. The rest of it, we'll see the impact, next month. And that's why under the water and sewer tabs, I added a new chart just for my own information. Thought they'd be appropriate for that. It's like the year-to-date water income fund. So as that money grows, that trend line should hopefully change the other direction.
Right.
And that's a year-to-date summary of where we're at. Just taking expenses minus revenues and see where we're at.
Anyone else? Russ, do you have anything for us?
I do not, sir. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, well, 6:35. Does anybody else have anything?
Just like to remind everybody, we have one more concert coming up, August 5th, it's Friday. Everybody keeps saying why Friday? Well, because it's First Farm Fridays. First Farm Fridays takes off from, I'm pretty sure 5 to 7:30. And hopefully we'll have all their stuff out of there by 8 o'clock and get ready to have a concert.
This song's been shared by like
Yeah.
Zanesville, Cambridge,
Well, I put it on Zanesville,
a
yeah.
bunch of places
So-
around, so.
And I talked to Jana Van Duzen about using the football field for extra parking. So we're gonna put some
Oh, that's a
signs
good
up
idea.
downtown and just kind of say maybe event parking or something, and they can walk
Mhm.
if that's what we need to do. So, I'm expecting a big crowd.
More border jobs.
Yeah, we're gonna get more. We're gonna
Yeah,
have the
last
There
one
cities.
was a
amazing.
line at the
Yeah,
back.
we're gonna have the cities, plus I think we're gonna do 6 extra, I think. So hopefully, it's been a real positive thing, I think.
Oh,
I think a
huge
lot of
success.
businesses are making a lot of money and, I know we got a check from one of the businesses because he was doing so well, so he donated and, I've had some people throw $100 bills at me, just and
That's just normal. though.
yeah, we throw it back in the funds, so hopefully, we're gonna continue to do this and it's gonna get bigger and better and, that's all I've got.
Yeah,
Good.
it's amazing.
Jane?
So,
Good evening. Today is Monday, July 27th, 25th, 2022 at 7 p.m. It's a regularly scheduled Coshocton City Council meeting. I'd like to remind everyone that due to unforeseen illness, planned vacation, we'll be meeting tomorrow, July 26th at 4:15, and Wednesday, July 27th at 4:15, too many 20s, in council chambers to do readings of ordinances that need to be passed by the end of July. Council will then be on recess until September 12th, 2022. Council will also be available for any emergency meetings that need to be held. Clerk, please call the roll.
Andrew. Here. Barcroft.
Here.
Gross.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Turner. Here.
Need a motion to excuse Councilman Mishler and Councilman Moore.
Make a motion.
Second. Barcroft. Call the roll.
Andrews. Yes.
Yes.
Barcroft. Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Turner. Yes.
Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, we thank you again for this time. Lord, I pray that you bless it. I bless each one here as we discuss city business. I pray this in your name.
Council, you emailed the minutes from July 11th, 2022. Council meeting, any questions or comments? Motion to accept the minutes.
Make a motion. We accept the minutes.
Call the roll.
Andrews. Yes. Barcroft.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
I'll abstain, I wasn't here.
Turner. Yes.
Public input. Looks like we have anybody here. Request from administration for additions to the agenda. Ordinance 3422. An ordinance to amend the City of Coshocton Codified Ordinances, Chapter 1333. And ordinance 3622, an ordinance authorizing the service director to sign all documents, authorize payment necessary for the City of Coshocton to purchase property at 636 Poplar Street, Coshocton, Ohio. Need a motion to accept these two ordinances to the agenda. Barcroft. Andrews. Call the roll, please.
Andrews. Yes. Barcroft.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Turner. Yes.
Okay, these ordinances will be added to the agenda. Chief Dre, you said you didn't have anything from
No, sir, thank you.
Sheriff. I know Counselor emailed the Sheriff City Shift Assignments Report. No, he's not here. Any questions that we need to get to him? Oh, good. Okay, we'll go into legislation. Okay, I'll ask clerk to give the first reading of ordinance 3222.
An ordinance to amend the City of Coshocton Codified Ordinances 1333.
Heard the first reading of ordinance 3222. Any questions or comments? Ordinance 3222 will take its course. First reading, I'll ask clerk to give the first reading of ordinance 3322.
An ordinance authorizing the service director to sign all documents and authorize payment necessary for the City of Coshocton to purchase property at 636 Poplar Street, Coshocton, Ohio.
Any questions or comments? Ordinance will take its course. The first reading, I'll ask the clerk to give the first reading of ordinance 3422.
An ordinance to amend the City of Coshocton Codified Ordinances, Chapter 1333.
For the first reading of ordinance 3422, any questions or comments? Ordinance 3422 will take its course. First reading, I'll ask the clerk to give the first reading of ordinance 3522.
Appropriations.
For the first reading of ordinance 3522, any questions or comments? Ordinance 3522 will take its course. First reading, I'll ask the clerk to give the first reading of ordinance 3622.
An ordinance authorizing the service director to sign all documents and authorize payment necessary for the City of Coshocton to purchase property at 636 Poplar Street.
For the first reading of ordinance 3622, any questions or comments? 3622 will take its course. Ask the clerk to give the first reading of ordinance 3722.
An ordinance to establish a new fund number 115, Ohio opioid settlement fund.
Any questions or comments? Ordinance 3722 will take its course.
Did we read 3322? Because I thought when you said 3322, she read 3622. Anybody else catch up?
She did read 3722 twice.
Oh, I think we did 33.
Ask the clerk to read ordinance 3322.
An ordinance to amend chapter 1305 of the ordinance of the city of Coshocton.
For the first reading of ordinance 3322. Any questions or comments? Ordinance 3322 will take its course. Second reading, I'll ask the clerk to give the second reading of ordinance 2922.
An ordinance to amend section 1355.03 of the ordinances of the city of Coshocton.
For the second reading of ordinance 2922, I need a motion to table this.
I would make that motion that we table 2922 until our September meeting.
I'll second.
Call the roll.
Andrews. Yes. Barcroft.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Second reading, I'll ask the clerk to give the second reading of ordinance 3022.
Appropriation.
For the second reading of ordinance 3022, any questions or comments? Ordinance 3022 will take its course. Second reading, I'll ask the clerk to give the second reading of ordinance 3122.
Transfer.
For the second reading of ordinance 3122, questions or comments? 3122 will take its course. Third reading, I'll ask the clerk to give the third reading of ordinance 2822.
An ordinance establishing the compensation for EPA certified professional operators.
For the third reading of ordinance 2822, and the question is, should ordinance 2822 pass? Clerk, please call the roll.
Andrews.
Yes.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Okay, we have no resolutions. Communications.
We have a application to transfer liquor license from Railroad Restaurant to Thompson 99 LLC.
Council, we need to have a hearing on that. No. And again, just a reminder, we'll meet Tuesday and Wednesday in council chambers at 4:15 to do the readings of ordinances to be passed by the end of July. And we'll be on recess until September 12th. So clerk, what's the date and time of our next meeting?
July 26th, 4:15.
Be no committee meeting. Need a motion for the meeting to be adjourned.
So moved.
Second. Barcroft. Call the roll.
Andrews. Yes. Barcroft.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Meeting's adjourned.
Yeah. I don't know. That's not what I talked about. It out of it, take a blanket out of it. I think it's pretty much that.